Hello everyone, this is your host TrevCL, and welcome to another Pokemon Challenge video. Before we get too far in the video, just wanted to make you aware of some big announcements at the end of the video. I save this now so you know to stick around for the end of the video if you want to hear about the exciting future of the channel. With that info out of the way, it's time to ask ourselves just one simple question. Can you beat Pokemon Ruby with only a single Smeargle? Smeargle is about the most unique Pokemon you'll see in the entire franchise. It only technically learns one move over and over again, and that move is Sketch. At first glance, it looks rather lackluster. A one power point move that copies the last move used by the opponent. Why is that just not a way worse version of Mimic? Well, to answer that question, it copies the last move used permanently. For example, if I was to get tackled by a Zigzagoon and then use Sketch, I would have Tackle instead of Sketch permanently there. This adds a whole new layer of strategy to the run, as instead of scouring the learn set to see what is needed to be a certain part of the game, now we have to scour different Pokemon and locations to see where we can get particular moves. Including the fact that we learn Sketch at every 10 levels, sometimes we'll have to grind just to get a chance at new moves, not necessarily for higher stats. Speaking of our stats, things are looking pretty grim at first glance. 75 speed is actually pretty good for what we usually use on the channel, and even the HP and defenses, while bad, are comparable to other challenges I've done. Those attacking stats are not only the worst I've had on the channel, but some of the worst in the entire game. With a mere 20 in each attacking stat, Smeargle hits as hard as an Azurill, not exactly the gold standard of powerhouse threats. So after reviewing everything, looks like I'll either need to find some defensive moves along the way, or perhaps some sort of setup if I want Smeargle to be effective at all. Before heading into the challenge, here are the rules. As always, only Smeargle can be used in battle. A small change for this particular run is that I will not only be disallowed from using items from the bag, I will not be allowed to hold an item during battles as well. Last rule has no changes, however, as I cannot hack, cheat, or glitch in any way. I'm definitely expecting this run to be possible, however I will always need to be thinking 2 steps ahead at all points in this game. Right away, I run into quite the conundrum. On my first attempt, my Smeargle was actually way too fast, meaning I could not sketch my rival's Trico for pound. I thought I could make do for the time being, though once I arrived in Petalburg, I realized how hard it would be to try and sketch my first move. So I reset back to the beginning to obtain a much slower Smeargle. I wanted to be slow enough to sketch pound, which meant being about 12 speed at level 5. I didn't want to be too slow, however, as that could cost me in later fights. Looking back at the rest of the challenge, it really didn't matter due to Smeargle's above average speed stat when compared to other solo challenges, but I digress. Also, while my Smeargle's offensive IVs stink, I got basically perfect HP and defense IVs with an impish nature, so my Smeargle will definitely be sponging hits a lot more than the usual one. With pound in hand now, I dispatch of much of the early game until I reach level 11, where I learn Sketch once again. I'm thinking ahead to the upcoming Roxanne fight, so I decide that Absorb from a trainer Shroomish is my best bet. While only 20 base power, it is still quite effective against the Geodudes in the gym, and will restore a bit of my HP every turn. That turned out to be a big mistake. I really underestimated just how weak Smeargle is, especially in tandem with a minus special attack nature and bad IVs. As seen from the footage currently on screen, I can't one-shot any Geodudes in the gym, including the level 6 one, which is less than half my current level. After the level 11 Geodude doesn't die to pound plus 2 absorbs, I know I either need a lot more grinding or a different strategy if I want to take down Roxanne's Nose Pass. The answer is actually to try both. Rust Turf Tunnel is not only a great place to grind for experience, but also for HP EVs since Whismur is the only encounter. Now you can say I went a bit overboard with the grinding, since I actually ended up maxing out my HP EVs. However, I feel that these will come in clutch throughout the run, so I might as well bite the bullet now. Halfway through the EV training, I was able to reach level 21 and learn my 3rd sketch of the run. I saved a trainer who has a Machop just for this occasion, as it knows Low Kick, a weight-based fighting type attack. And since rock types are really heavy on average, this should be the solution to the Nose Pass problem. Once I finish maxing out my HP, ending with my Smeargle being a whopping level 29 with nearly 100 HP, I feel more than ready to take on Roxanne. It's really anticlimactic, as a total of 4 hits take down her Geodude and her Nose Pass. But considering my Smeargle can't even bring the Geodude down to red HP with an Absorb, despite the huge level gap, it was definitely in my best interest to take the route I did. With 2 final low kicks to bring down her ace Nose Pass, I'm finally ready to unleash this monster onto the rest of the Hoenn region. Scratch that last statement, because up next is Brawly and his fighting type gym. While I can take his hits way better than your standard Smeargle, Smeargle itself hits as hard as a wet paper bag. Luck is on our side, however, because we're very close to yet another sketch. After using one of our rare candies gained from the Zigzagoon pickup squad, it's time to finally round out our moveset for the first time this run. So if our problem is dishing out damage, clearly a boosting move is needed. If Brawly gives out the TM for bulk up upon his defeat, clearly he shouldn't mind if we obtain the move during the battle. And that's just what we do. It does take sacrificing my Smeargle the first time thanks to a rather unfortunate crit, but we do walk away with the move. Time to give Brawly a taste of his own medicine. I immediately start bulking up, as he chooses to attack first. As you can see, when he doesn't crit me, he does less than 20% of my health. I scout out damage with a pound, which does less than half. To be fair to Smeargle, one does not simply become buff after one workout. Machop shows us how it's done with a bulk up of his own. I try to avoid putting him in potion range with an absorb, which tickles the Machop, as Smeargle is now hit with a seismic toss. Even though pound most likely won't kill, I still go for it and prove karma is real with a crit to knock it out. Next out is the Makuhita, which looks like quite the chonky boy. So with 2 low kicks, including a crit on the second, which probably didn't matter, I conquer Smeargle's type weakness for our second gym badge. This exchange 100% proves that artists are the strongest life forms on Earth. Afterwards, the journey from Dewford to Slateport and the Mauville is a breeze. A sea breeze, if you will. I wish I could say that the normally tough Rival 2 fight was a challenge. If you set up enough bulk ups on our Wailmer, it goes down easily, alongside her Numel and then her Grovyle. Watson, however, was up to his normal shenanigans. I swear, he has to probably be the toughest solo run fight in Ruby and Sapphire, unless your Pokemon is either great against electric and or steel types. He wouldn't be so bad if not for the fact that Magnemite will go for Thunder Waves 99 times out of 100 if the Pokemon isn't immune to it, and the case is no different here. Magnemite is so incredibly light that even a +3 low kick somehow doesn't even look to be a 2-hit KO. I only get past it this time thanks to a timely crit, but I see no way to get past Voltorb and Magneton with a mere 31 HP. As it turns out, I can't even make it past the Voltorb. Since Pound is such a weak move, +3 isn't enough to kill it in one hit. If I could make it past the Voltorb with a good amount of health, I think Low Kick could potentially destroy the Magneton, as it's much heavier than Magnemite. The insane amount of luck I need would take way too many attempts though, so I'd rather grind and re-strategize. It just so happens that after battling to get to level 37, I have just enough rare candies to reach my next sketch. I'm looking to not only get a move that can help me now, but also be a mainstay for most of the run. I could get High Jump Kick from the Wind Straight Grandma, but I think Low Kick is a bit more trustworthy, and I have plans to get a better Steel type destroying move later. Speaking of the Wind Straights though, the daughter does have a Shroomish that has Leech Seed. Having a move that not only deals small amounts of damage each turn is great, but being able to heal Smeargle slightly each turn while it's setting up could be a huge boon for the run going forward. So that's my plan for the 5th sketch of this run. After an embarrassing amount of time and attempts, I finally obtained the golden ticket, so to speak, and I feel confident in my chances against Watson. Round 2 starts off according to plan as I seed the Magnemite, allowing me to bulk up at much less risk this time around. 4 turns of trading bulk ups for damage, and I'm able to vanquish both the Magnemite with a Low Kick and the Voltorb with a single pound. My luck was bound to run out sometime, however, and thanks to back-to-back full paras, I don't even get to attack the Magneton. On my 3rd attempt overall, and 2nd with Leech Seed, I start off the battle the exact same way, but due to getting parried before being able to set up a 3rd bulk up, I decided to stop being greedy and finish off the Magnemite at +2 this time, dodging one last Sonic Boom. I know this won't be enough power to one-shot the Voltorb, so I decided to drain its health a little with Leech Seed. I get parried and crit, yet I am still able to make it out of the exchange with 49 HP. Magneton's Shockwave looks to be a 2-hit KO, but it seemed like +2 was enough for Low Kick to take it out. And with that, one of the roughest fights in this game is over and done with. Just to show how bad my offensive stats are, here's a look at my stats after traversing the region a bit more. Not only are my attacking stats lower than my level, an immediate indicator of a terrible stat, it's not even close. Even if my defensive stats aren't exactly highly touted either, at least I have that large HP stat in combo with bulk up for the physical defense. So yeah, Not looking forward to the end game when leveling up past my problems would be impossible should I have to hit the level cap of 100. Luckily for me, I have just the right tools to take on this section of the game a little easier than the usual solo run. Maxie in theory could be a major annoyance with his mighty and unknown sand attack, but it only bites me twice as I dispatch of it with a crit low kick, which I'm thinking definitely mattered. Speaking of crits, I get yet another one when I use Pound on the Golbat, which knocks it in the red HP. Some potion spamming aside, I'm able to take it down with a few more attacks, leading to his ace, Camerupt. I can promise you this Camerupt will play a big role later in the game, but for now all it takes are 2 easy low kicks, and the first Maxie fight ends up being about as clean of a victory as you'll see against him. I don't expect the upcoming Flannery fight to be insanely difficult, but I also don't expect it to be any sort of cakewalk. I know I'm going to need some bulk ups to even dream of doing any sort of damage to Torkoal, as its defense is off the charts. While Slugma's overheat does hurt a bit, the special attack drop brings down the threat level. I do think I made a mistake, however, as I was paranoid of taking massive damage from a crit. I feel like getting at least a few more bulk ups was the play. However, you'll see that it ends up working out in my favor. After dispatching of the second Slugma with 2 pounds, my best play is the Leech Seed first for the chip damage on Torkoal and the small amount of health I'll get back on my Smeargle. That ends up being the right call as low kick does more than I expected, but still not enough to normally 2-hit KO. After 2 low kicks and 3 rounds of Leech Seed, I'm able to narrowly win on my first try. Now I don't know about you, but the lack of damage I'm consistently seeing from Pound is starting to disappoint me. In addition, thanks to Leech Seed, Bulk Up, and Low Kick, Norman should be a breeze. So with all that in mind, I decided to play to replace Pound with Facade. There were of course other options like Slash or Headbutt I could have gone with, and looking back, maybe their secondary effects would have ended up being more useful throughout the run. I decided at the time that the double power of Facade if I was status could have more strategy. So I go into the fight at level 51 with Sketch ready to go. I first get up Leech Seed as I get yawned. I know I'm guaranteed to sleep next turn, so the play is the bulk up in preparation of facing Slacking's insane power. Instead, Norman's AI chooses yawn despite me already being asleep. Add in the fact that I wake up almost immediately and get a second bulk up, and the battle is all but over now. His first Slacking goes down from half with 1 low kick, and next up is his ace Slacking. I try to get hit by a Facade, but in doing so, am blasted by a super powerful Focus Punch. Not wanting to play around anymore, I'll try to bait the Vigoroth instead. While it takes a couple of turns to do so, I'm able to finally sketch Facade, and end the facade of this being a tough battle. The Admin Courtney fight at the Weather Institute and the final required May fight go just as smoothly as you would expect at such a high level. And now, it's time for Winona. I know her Altaria knows Dragon Dance, and while normally I would scoop up a great move like that in an instant, Bulk Up actually is better for my Smeargle. Although you'll see in the endgame, neither will end up making my final moveset. However, I don't want to spoil the fun, so let's get into the fight. Swallow is her lead, which unfortunately knows Double Team. It can't really deal much damage to me, however, I can't deal any damage back if I keep missing. I get the +4, which means certain death should I connect, which I eventually do, on my 12th Facade, after going into the battle already down 5 Facade PP. With 3 remaining, I still should be fine. I Leech Seed the Pelipper, and with the chip, 1 hit should easily be enough. Instead, just about the worst thing that could happen, happens. The dreaded double protect. What used to be 3 Facade PP is now down to 0 after taking out the Pelipper. Skarmory is no issue with Low Kick taking it down in 2 shots, only receiving a sand attack in return. Now things are looking a bit dicey though. Luckily, I'm able to seed the Altaria on the first attempt, despite using a move already with questionable accuracy and at -1. And from there, it's just a boring stall fest. Hitting her Altaria with resisted low kicks and draining her healing items work, but that battle was certainly a dumpster fire that I was not expecting. At all. Ever since the brief brick wall that Watson was, the game has been just about as easy as it can possibly get. A bunch of first try victories thanks to a pretty ideal moveset and a good sized level gap. However, that is all about to change. The level jump from Winona to Tate and Liza is almost the same as the jump from Watson to Winona. That's right, what was a 10 level jump over the span of 4 gyms is now a 9 level jump from the last gym. The only saving grace is that since this is Ruby and not Emerald, we don't have to deal with essentially a 4-on-1 double battle, just a 2-on-1 against their Lunatone and Solrock. The level jump isn't the main issue though, it's our moveset. Facade is resisted by both, and Low Kick will definitely come up short unless I boost. I don't see that working out with Smeargle getting double teamed after the first turn, and I'm not talking about the evasion boosting kind. I do have a plan however. The story takes me back to Slateport, where I strategically left a trainer unbattled from earlier. For some reason on the Slateboard Beach, there's a youngster whose level 14 Zigzagoon randomly knows Surf, so after quickly leveling up to 61 to replace Low Kick with Sketch, I encounter said Zigzagoon to obtain the key to our success against Tate and Liza. Obviously, just Surf alone will not get me anywhere close. As we saw from earlier, Smeargle's special attack is abysmal. Other factors including spread moves being much weaker in double battles, Solrock knowing Sunny Day to weaken water moves, and Lunatone knowing Calm Mind to beef up its already great Spadef. I could sketch a Calm Mind of my own, but I'd rather try to keep my heart skills while they're still a limited resource for the time being. That, and I really don't want to grind to level 71 at this stage of the game. I don't need another move anyways, as my second key to victory is already in my moveset. You see, one amazing thing about Leech Seed is that I can have two opponents seated at the same time. I have to take 2 turns to set that up as well as not missing either, but the benefits outweigh the risks. I've got to say, I have some of the weirdest attempts I've ever seen for this fight. The first noteworthy attempt is where my level 7 Zigzagoon lives longer than my Smeargle. Rarely does the low level Pokemon even see the second turn. I've never seen it where it lives 2 turns before this, or since I've done this run. Oddities aside, I do have an attempt that makes it deep into the battle. I dodge enough Hypnosises from the Lunatone and recover a great deal of HP through Leech Seed. I force 2 Hyper Potions at the same time. My luck can only go so far in a single run however, as all it takes is 1 Hypnosis hitting and then being bombarded with boosted Psychics and Flamethrowers to destroy a promising run. After that, I assumed winning at this level would basically be impossible. I was proven wrong less than 10 attempts later. I had changed my strategy oh so slightly throughout the attempts. My goal was still to prioritize getting seeds on both Pokemon. Instead of merely surfing afterwards, I would then target the Lunatone with Facade. Despite Lunatone resisting and Smeargle's low attack, it actually did significantly more damage than Surf, especially after Calm Minds or a Sunny Day. I'm able to do just enough damage that even though Lunatone lands 1 last Hypnosis, it goes down before a Hyper Potion is able to be used on it. Solrock can't beat me one-on-one without lots of hacks, which thankfully is not the case. Without the factors of being a spread move or Sunny Day, you can see the enormous difference in damage that Surf now does. Enough in fact, to finish off this nightmare of a battle after many attempts. Remember the foreshadowing from the first Maxi fight when I said his camera up would play a big role in the run? Well, the reason shall now be revealed. It knows Earthquake, an insanely important coverage move. Honestly, without it, I'm not sure the run would be doable, at least without going full on stall with the Smeargle set. This is part of the reason I picked Ruby as well, as it's much easier to get Earthquake from a known boss fight rather than trying to find it on a random trainer. Even if I somehow missed it here, the cover legendary Groudon also knows the move, just proving that Ruby is the better version for this run. With our patented Steel-type destroying move in hand, let's fast forward to the final gym battle against Wallace. He's an absolute cakewalk. Luvdis can be incredibly annoying with confusion and attraction shenanigans, but once I'm able to get up my 6 bulk ups thanks to Water Pulse, glancing off my Smeargle, the rest of the team goes down in 1 Facade each. And with that, I am now eligible to challenge the Elite Four. Being able to take on the Elite Four and ready to take on the Elite Four are 2 completely different things, however. As much as it sucks to let Bulk Up go, being that it's been on the moveset ever since the second gym, I'm looking to make 1 last moveset upgrade. In Victory Road, Wild Hariyama's know the move Belly Drum, a move that's incredibly high risk due to sacrificing half your max HP, but high reward as the user instantly maxes out their attack, even if they had been -6 before. We'll certainly need the immediate firepower, as the Elite Four will not give us 6 turns to reach our max potential. I'm now really confident in our moveset to be good enough to win the run, but not necessarily our level. However, you really never know until you try. First up is Sydney, who leads with his annoying Mightyena. Intimidate doesn't matter for a change. As previously stated, I instantly go to +6 with a single Belly Drum. Getting hit by a sand attack certainly isn't ideal, but the battle should be trivial assuming I hit my moves. Which I do, up until the Shift Tree, which starts setting up double teams. I'm starting to get flashbacks of Wynona's Swellow. Before I can start dreading the worst, I hit the next Facade and win the fight. With Earthquake being my only move to hit Ghost types, you'd think I'd have some major issues, especially with how tanky each of her Dusclops are. And I admit, the first Dusclops is an issue, until it goes for Future Sight instead of Curse, allowing me free reign on her first 4 Pokemon. Nothing can stand up to the sheer power of a +6 Earthquake, even coming from Smeargle. Phoebe's final Dusclops can actually take 1 EQ, although when it comes to measuring EQ damage, mine was definitely bigger. Thus ends the annoying troll known as Phoebe. Glacia is rather straightforward. Set up in front of Glalie as it chooses to go for Hail. The chip damage slowly racks up, but the fainted Pokemon racks up much quicker. Walrein continues the theme of the last Pokemon being tough to take down, easily living and finishing us off with a Blizzard. The answer is really clear though. We just need to get back to the Walrein and dodge, which is exactly what we do, leading to the brick wall known as Drake. This is where our amazing scouting attempt ends, as even if I could dodge the Rock Tomb from Shelgon, I can't take it out in one Facade. Even when I do one-shot it after some Leech Seed chip, Altaria can also take a Facade. The Flygons do outspeed me, though they are actually one-hit KOs. This is the end, however, because in comes Salamence to finish me off. Even if I could outspeed or take a hit, I would not be able to kill it, especially at only +5 after Intimidate. Looking ahead even further, I doubt I could even take on Steven, who has tankier, higher level Pokemon. Main issue being Skarmory, so I decided there is only one option. Time to max out the old level. Normally after the great run I just had, leveling up 17 times would be overkill. But in Smeargle's case, the attack gain over each level is so low it's required just to have a significant difference from the first run. The grind takes a bit, but thanks to stocking up on some more rare candies, I'm able to speed up the process dramatically from 91 to 100. Time to get our revenge. Since I've already beaten the first 3 members quite easily, I'll focus on the end game while those battles happen in the background. I think Drake will be easy to beat now, because even if I was to be hit by a Rock Tomb, my current speed allows me to outspeed the entire team at -1. I should be able to one-shot the Shelgon and Altaria now, though the Salamence potentially could still live one thanks to Intimidate, but I should be at a high enough level to live one and finish the job. The Steven fight is much less certain. Skarmory is basically a much harder version of Phoebe's lead Dusclops. Much like Curse, getting hit by a Toxic is an instant reset. In addition, I don't even think 2 hits from Facade will be enough, let alone 1. So I need 1 turn to set up a Leech Seed, 1 turn to set up a Belly Drum, and then at least 1 more turn to get off the first Facade. I guess it's time to prove how hard it can be, as we were able to one-shot the Salamence after all, so time for the final battle. I do a quick scouting attempt to see which order he'll send out his Pokemon. I do get Toxic, which normally would be a reset, but I'm trying to see the order first. Based off the attempt, after Skarmory, he'll go Armaldo, Claydol, and then Aggron, saving Cradily and Metagross for last. With this information in hand, I set up for the long haul. And by long haul, I mean on just my 3rd attempt, I hit my Leech Seed, set up my Belly Drum, and merely get hit by 2 Steel Wings. Despite the full restore, 2 more Facades dispatch of Skarmory. I knew from the scouting battle that I could get past our model given the fact that boosted resisted Facade is barely stronger than neutral EQ, but Claydol I was not sure about. Turns out the worrying was for nothing, as it's another one-hit KO. Aggron is then obviously demolished by an EQ. Cradily was the most unsure of the bunch for me, but even that goes down in 1 shot. And even though Metagross is a pseudo-legendary with crazy high defense, it stands no chance of living a super effective +6 Earthquake. And with that, I have officially beaten Pokemon Ruby, not only with just a single Smeargle, but without the aid of any items in battle, including held items. Now that the challenge is complete, I'd like to thank everyone who joined me on this journey. It wasn't nearly as hard as you would imagine going in, actually quite the fun challenge, having to find different movesets to beat certain parts of the game. Smeargle is no different from many solo runs in that regard, but in terms of the sheer amount of choices to pick from, this challenge is unmatched there. I definitely recommend this run if you wanted something not incredibly difficult, but still want the challenge of having to strategize many times throughout. Like I said at the beginning of this video, I have some big plans in the work for the channel. Well, I'd like to officially reveal them here. The first of which is coming up either this month or sometime in November. I'll be uploading arguably the hardest solo run ever attempted. I'll be trying to beat Pokemon XD Gale of Darkness with only the starter EV that you have at the beginning of the game. And if that wasn't hype enough, I am also announcing a solo run series for the channel. If you've seen J-Rose 11's runs in Gen 1 and or Chaotic Meatball's 386 challenge, it'll be very similar to those, only done with the Gen 3 base forms in Pokemon Sapphire. I've officially called it the Sapphire Solo Series, or Triple S for short. I don't have specific dates for the release. Look for an introduction and rules video next month and the premiere of the series sometime in December. I'm trying to stock up on the videos for the series so I can release them somewhat consistently. If you wondered why this video took longer than the estimated 1 to 2 weeks I originally stated in the Dino video, this series is why. I hope you guys are as hype as I am for the future, and if you are, please consider subscribing or sharing this video if you haven't already. I will be uploading these videos no matter what because I do love these challenges, but obviously the more the channel can grow, the more motivated I am to get everything up ASAP. Anyways, once again, thank you guys for everything, and I'll see you next time.